But once again, I'd like to thank you all to my ancestral home. When the white people first came here, they found very strong people of the First Nation species. Irapunya was one of those. And mockingly, they gave him the nickname of King Charlie. A Paltara man from this country. And they told me the story that for the first time, through my grandmother, of course, when they saw the horses flicked their tails because the warriors were hiding in the spinifex with the spears lying beside them. And they didn't know what these creatures were, because the pigmentation of their colour was different. Although weather-beaten, their features were also different. And when the horses brush the flies away with their tail, like they do, they swish around, Irapunya and the warriors arose so that they didn't look as though they were scared of the newcomers. So they gave away their hiding place. And they got up there and came down off the hills. And of course there was much commotion down there as well. And that happened at Honeymoon Gap, which is not this gap, but the next gap down. And Nana told me that the old man told them to put their spear into the ground so as not to attract hostility until they found out what these people were doing on our land. And I think the rest is history. They did form an uncomfortable relationship which still exists in our towns throughout Australia. But enough of that, because I think many people have written about our encounters. You know what? It has not improved any since that day. We have native title. We have land rights. We have all these things in place. Our constant companion that we can be assured of, my brothers and sisters, is the control of those people that rode into this country of mine all those many years ago. The control that has taken some of our highly intelligent people and put them over on that side and then used them back against us. So where are we? In welcoming you all, I honour you. I honour your country. I honour your language and your rituals. I don't honour the fact that you can rock and roll and do the hip-hop and all that. That's all introduced. Where are we going? Where the hell are we heading to? So I come to this summit, traumatised, and with a deep heartache. Because the warrior that stood here as King Charlie mockingly, or as the chieftain Irapmunya, a Paltara man from this country. I am a descendant, proudly, of that person. Who have I become? I'm talking to you in English because that's the language of communication which has been forced onto us. Those warriors and those black people, by the same sign languages, were able to let those white people that came here know where the life-giving water was. Little did they know they were given away not only their country, but their very lives. It was the change from that moment of impact. Some of my people were shot here because they didn't pull the water from the well quickly enough. This is the history which we're living for. I am deeply disappointed that Scullion is not here with us. And I do not accept his apology because he does not and should not have control over me because of the pigmentation of my colour. And it is always monetary issues which we're looking at, not the quality of our lives. I don't want the quantity. I live in a fool's paradise at a place called Orapanja, not Arapanga, Orapanja. Uralambini, that fire burned on that river, the river on which I was born. It feels like centuries ago. But to have that sense of belonging in this disastrous stage of our history is a comfort. I'm about 4 kilometres from the tree riverbed gum on the riverbed where I was born, 4 kilometres away. I didn't have nurses in uniform. I had the midwives of the age-old attendants at childbirth when I came into this world. And we're gathering here again, once again, to look at ourselves, and once again to be told we are second class, that we must adhere to and follow the dictates that come down from Canberra. Is there water? Is that what we're here for? I don't think so. And I hope not. And when we give lip service about closing the gap, what bloody gap? I have not created a gap. I am here on my country, speaking my language, performing my rituals. That is still a crime to the people who came to this country? Is it? Let's ask ourselves that question. Do I need to crawl on my belly so I can become closer to the white dictates of this country? I don't believe so. And I don't believe any one of you is going to be reacting forever until your great-great-great-grandchildren are no longer recognisable as having a culture that spans, as we proudly say, 60,000 years or more. Is this where we're heading? Or are we a noble people with a culture that is still alive, barely, encompassing each and every one of us within our system, so inclusive that before we are born, we know who we are. This is what we should be chasing, reclaiming, reasserting, not listening to what organisation does this and what organisation does that. Your clan group, those that come from your land, your clan group, is where you need to reclaim your identity, your essence, your relationship, not only to that land, but to the food chain and to the animals and trees of that area. We were once so close. Who am I? I'm Yeramba. Yeramba is the honey ant. Guess what? I'm not that sweet. And the other Yeramba is sitting there. She stands behind me. She is a Pangada woman, black through to the core of her being. Black, not somebody who has to go to a foreign learning system which is called the university and which punishes us if we don't get up and go to school. Because most of us are unemployable by the standards, we are punished. We are told we have no capacity to think. Guess what? They haven't got the capacity to understand the depth of my culture. My culture is being held by people in abject poverty, in rags, who don't have 3 meals a day, but is lucky to have one meal, which isn't really of any value excepting to make your stomach feel a little bit full. So this is what we are here for. We are not here to have a picnic in Central Australia or to listen to anyone who says to us, this is the way it's going to be done. I'm sorry, no. Not on my land. No one dictates to what Leonora, what Darwin, Larrakia mob, what South Australians or anyone else does in their country. We talk about never having ceded this country, but by crikey, we've sold our souls for a pocketful of silver as we give back our lands which were won through hard-fought fights, we give it back in lease for 30 pieces of silver. So with Aboriginal people, you do not look outside of your clan group and your tribal group. Sometimes the tribal group is two lots. You got your mother's family and you got your father's family. Through my father, I am Arunda. Through my mother and my grandfather that way, I am a Majira. But the way our people do it, it's so seamless. And yet, in today's standing of Aboriginal people, we fight each other. Get back to your country, some say. This is my country. Now we're here, and if we centre ourselves and close our eyes, and if you're anything like me, images of your loved ones that have been driven to take their own lives will come up. The void they've left will never in your lifetime be closed. If you close your eyes and forget about your status or your standing, self-perceived or otherwise, you will really mourn. What drove our loved ones to grab a rifle, put it in your mouth and blast your brains off? What drove our 14-year-olds or 16-year-olds to fashion a noose and to jump and swing from a tree? While we're having a good time, greeting each other, let's not forget to embrace each other. In very real terms, don't make believe. Hug each other and mean it. Feel the pain of each other, thus lightening that heaviness that has descended on us. Academics from all over come because it's fascinating and ghoulish to stand at our gravesides and somehow assess the agony of what we're going through. It's not a make-believe thing, it's real. It must be fascinating for those that do not feel that pain or enter into that agony. But that is what is happening to us. And then they go away and they write about us. This pain today is going to be claimed and taken to certain universities. Is it our intellectual property and pain that we're sharing with each other? Or is it that we bear ourselves and make sure everybody feels it? I don't think everyone will take it on board outside of the blacks in the same way as it was given. everything we've given of ourselves in 2016 has only made it more painful. The very poverty where they put us, to them has become a commodity. Come on, folks, let's stop this. Let's look deep inside ourselves and let's see where the real healing is. It's not in posh English, nor is it in the midst of a materialistic society that has put you in the place where we find ourselves. Is this a reality? Yes, it is. I wish I could be more joyful. Last night when we finished off, I was having a great time. Grandson Warren was singing. Ernie Dingo joined him. It was a bit upbeat. It was nice. But I called it a day and I went back to the motel. On the way there, a 17-year-old at Ngawanyara rocket range on the place called Utopia, which is Orapinja, hung herself. 17-year-old girl. Ngawanyara is where my cousin lives. Cousin kinship, not bloodline. She's the one that puts on my body paints on my body for ceremonies. She's the one who is as thin as this little bit here and jokingly says to me, your arm will take me a day to paint. One arm. Because I'm thicker than she is. She also watched her son, her and her elderly husband, as he jumped right in front of them and hung himself. What, 4 years ago? Now she's had a girl hang herself. But they were able to save her, and she's in intensive care right as I speak today. It's a disgrace. What is the most important thing for us? Somebody said it, a beautiful gentleman that spoke before me. Yes, it is our culture. It's our language. And it's our ceremony. But above all that, to be able to perform it and to feel that belongingness is your land. Northern development is coming into the northern part of Australia. Are the blacks mentioned in that paper? Yes, they are. As an afterthought, to do menial jobs, to rake, to sweep. That's about it. In the meantime, they take our lands. In the meantime, they belittle us. When are we going to find that we have got the capacity to fight back? When are we going to stop crawling into the departments? Every instrumentality that has been put for the good of Aboriginal people has had that huge rod which is called assimilation. For God's sakes, let's pick up our culture. It is within our grasp. In another decade or two, it won't be here. It is almost entertainment value to see my grandson light the smokes today for us to be healed. That was not a fun thing, nor was it for entertainment. It was real. Let's heal together from here on, and let's really follow our ancestors. Don't pay lip service to us. Now, the social media also plays a huge role in making sure that we feel second class, to reinforce that feeling of hopelessness. And we allow it. We allow it by letting public servants come in and run our very lives on our communities. I call them public serpents. That is what they are. And you know, mediocre, horrible person from the city comes out, and all of a sudden he's feeling 10 feet tall because he bloody well can't communicate with us. He hasn't got the capacity nor the intelligence after 10 years to pick up our language. We know his language through and through. And yet we make allowances for him because he's mild. He can't understand us. And we're always saying, poor thing, in our language, Akonya, pat him on the head. Sit down there, we'll help you. And he makes believe and writes out in his reports and corrects the right boxes. He's done a great year's job. He's done bloody well nothing. So where are we dangling? We're dangling in no man's world, a dangerous place to be. A lot of us don't know who the hell we are. And of course, you look at exit from this world when we should be enjoying our country, enjoying who we are. And we should be the ones controlling the involvement of the dominant culture, not making money out of us and our poverty, and aiding and abetting the destruction thereof. No way. That's why I'm hated, I think, in the Northern Territory, but I couldn't give a care. I nearly said it. So as far as I'm concerned, the road to recovery is really and truly in our hands, not in the hands of the white miracle maker. At this moment in our history, it has to be our voices. Those voices can be collective throughout Australia. If you see government programs being given to you with ulterior motives, kick it as far as you can. Don't even let it come through your gates. Not so long ago, we had on our gates in the Northern Territory, pornography, pedophilia, name it. And you know, nobody has apologised for putting us through that trauma. We had the most traumatic thing. Soldiers came in, police came in, and of course the public serpents were hanging around like ghouls on the side. This is our challenge in the 21st century, as far as I'm concerned. The continuity of a perfected social harmony which our ancestors laid on this land They say it came down from the sky in the form of a spear, and that spread out. What was it that spread out? It's our songs. Al-Jara. White fella translated it into dreamings. God, they're bloody not imaginative at all. These are like the stones that came down in the biblical sense with Moses. But ours come through the spear, and it came out and washed over us and touched us. The social harmony was such that it was so inclusive. Your kinship name, Yalaka. Amapangata. Let me have a look. Might be a good-looking man in the thing, I'll make him Mpajana. That's my right skin. And I'm allowed to go and grab him by the hand and say, "You're coming with me, buddy." But it was done within the social contents. Oh, there's Mpajana there. Rajandora. That kind of thing did not have you running around grabbing just any girl and breaking the law of the land, or any girl going and grabbing any man. We had to be the right match and the right country with each other. Now, our children grew up in that. Where's the leadership today that says to our kids, this is what you follow, this is your social structure, this is where you will function, not aping and copying some other culture. Anunagan is enough. We have more than enough within our own culture, and it still is within our grasp. For a moment, I want to stop with you. And I want to say, his name is beautiful people that I've lost. Dean, 33 years of age, father of two, told his wife to take the kids and visit a close family member. He had a loaded gun, shot himself. Dean was at Retta Dixon Institution up in Darwin. Came back and wanted to fit back after 8 years into his tribal belongingness. Just couldn't quite reach it, couldn't make it. We talk about stolen generations. David, beautiful, athletic young man, first cousin of mine, cheeky, self-assertive. Didn't look black. I think I'm the blackest in my family in colour. David was picked up and put into Long Bay jail. Hung himself. 26 years of age. Elizabeth, 19 years of age, my brother's daughter. living in the slums as an outcast in her own country at Charles Creek, 3 months pregnant. Hung herself in front of her sisters. Matika, my brother's granddaughter, 14 years of age, decided life wasn't worth living in the fringe camps of Alice Springs. Hung herself. Marcus, 17-year-old, driving around with his father and his brother, trying to supplement food on the road near Utopia there. Turns around and says to his father and his brother, "Watch this, you'll never see anything like this again." Puts the gun to his mouth and shoots himself. David, the one not David, my cousin, but David, decides that, I think he was about 26, decides that he wants to go out. His parents are quite elderly out at Utopia. Right in full view of the clinic, which is a white man organisation, hangs himself. These are but a few of real life, real images that come to me. I'm supposed to be alive. I wonder if I am. I think I'm dead inside of me. How are we going to fix this, my brothers and sisters? It certainly isn't by programs that are going to be set up for us, as per usual, coming down from Canberra and its policies. It is within our power. It is within ourselves that we will find the answer. And guess what? We better not leave that for too long. Out of this incredible gathering, I want to know, before the end of tomorrow, where are we heading? I need a motion to be put up. Do we need Scullion as our Lord and King? Who the hell is Scullion? Who put him there? My bosses are my law holders, both in the Arunda and in the Amajara. You know what? There is no professor in the white man's world that can equal those guys. None. There is no woman law holder, whether she's a brilliant barrister or silk, in the white man's world that can equal us black women in our traditional customary place. So what are we chasing? That is not our culture. Itchandora. Our culture is here and with us. Let's reclaim and reassert that. It is within us. And today, as we talk, eat together, let's find a line of action from all of us here to turn that new page. I tell you what, the white guys, if they want to understand and close that bloody gap, they come to us, not we go to them. I don't care about their money. They've raided and raped our country as it is. It is not in monetary compensation. As such, we're going to reclaim our souls. It is not, believe me. But I tell you what, the joy of life is to be found in the black culture of this country. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.